All right, Leanna and Travis, it's great to talk to you guys today. How are you doing?
We're doing great. Nice to talk to you, Greg.
Me
Yeah,
too.
same. Wonderful.
I'm super excited. Okay, so you guys are a mother and son team.
That's correct.
You run your firm together. Maybe you could quickly just talk about Leanna, how you started the firm, and Travis, how you're a part of it. Maybe you could just share with us more about your firm and kind of what you guys do.
Sure. Well, I've been a financial advisor for a little over 25 years. I think what got me started in the business is my own, enjoyment out of investing for myself. And then also, that desire to help people, help individuals understand their own situations, and help, educate them. So to a lot of degree, I kind of see myself as an educator. Um, and I truly enjoy getting to know my clients. Many of our clients have been with me for over 20 years, along with their children and grandchildren. So not only are we a multi-generational team, our clients are generally multi-generational as well.
Yeah. So there's a lot of continuity there. So
There,
Travis, what's it like going to work for your mom?
Um, that's like kind of normal. We've worked together for, oh gosh, going on, this will be the 11th year, full time, together. I'd
Congrats.
say
That's awesome.
the most difficult part was, that like first 3, 4 months, right out of college, still living at home, and we were like commuting together. Like it was 24 hours nonstop. I'm like, no, I need to go find my own place. This is a little too much.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
no, it's been wonderful. I think we have great chemistry. um it's been amazing, to get the opportunity to work so closely with my mother. And I think the clients, um I think it's resonated with the clients.
Well, it sounds like it because a lot of your clients are multi generational too. So
yeah, that's correct.
you're kind of eating your own dog food, so to speak.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Or even like our business owner clients, a lot of family owned businesses. So it's been interesting to just kind of see the overlap between, our um kind of business, our clients' businesses. So yeah, no, very enjoyable.
And Travis, I mean, Travis grew up around, me working with my clients when he and his brother were young. A lot of times they would, come with me to some of those in-home meetings or things like that, just because of, we were on our way back from daycare or things like that. So they kind of grew up around the importance of my clients and working with them and kind of meeting them on their terms.
I love that. Okay, so I know that everybody has their own unique way of working with their clients. What are some of the things that you do, Deanna, that you might have passed on to Travis that your clients have said they really appreciate about how you approach working with them? Does that
Mhm.
question make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense, Greg. I think for me, working with clients, and I think what Travis has, garnered from that is the importance of developing initially that relationship, getting to really understand, who they are as an individual and what's important to them and their family. Because there's many aspects of being a financial advisor, and as a financial advisor you can choose to just go down the path of just concentrating on investments, or you can choose to go down a path of concentrating on the individual person in the family and all the different things that impact them or that they may have to make decisions around, whether it's in regards to their investments or something completely different. So a lot of times, not only are we coaching them from a financial perspective, but it can be, in regards to sometimes it's family situations. They may have something going on in the family. And although we're not counselors or things like that, just having that other ear to listen to. And then we may have experienced something with a different family or a similar situation and maybe can point them in the right direction of where they may be able to go for help. So
I
I
love
think it's
that.
important to understand, each individual client and family.
What are some of the ways that you do that uniquely that people might not expect? I'd like Travis to maybe answer that question, and then Leanna, maybe if you could. Like, how? What's the way that you've gone above and beyond, or a special way that you've gotten to know a client that they might not?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I mean, it really starts at the beginning of like any relationship. Is just taking like a true, genuine interest in this person as an individual. Um, I think our industry or profession can get a bad rap, if you will, um, where a lot of times someone will come to us with maybe preconceived notions or opinions on kind of what an advisor actually is or what they do. And I think in very short order, even in the span of like an initial conversation, I think we put a lot of those, we prove those wrong. Um, Not to say that other advisors don't do that, but I think, our approach is unique.
I love that. Leanna, what are some of the ways that you think that you guys do that? When a client first comes to you, they first meet you, they have those preconceived notions, which of course is natural. What are some of the ways that you think maybe when you first meet them, some of
Yeah.
those maybe
So
those barriers or those
yeah,
drop?
I think our process also helps put the clients at ease. I mean, initially, if somebody's reaching out to us through our website or they're getting, a direct referral from one of our clients, which is where a lot of our clients come from, is referrals from existing clients. That initial conversation is just a quick 10-minute conversation, getting a little bit of information about what's going on in their life at that moment and why do they feel they're at that stage where they want to work with somebody. And then from that, if we have that initial connection, because sometimes from that initial conversation, you can tell if there's a connection there or not. And
Mm.
then our next meeting is more of our get to know you meeting. They'll either come into the office or we'll schedule, a Google Meet or Zoom meeting and dive a little deeper into them as individuals. Um, kind of where they are in their life, what they have going on. We'll get into some general information in regards to, their financial situation, their estate and situation, but just overall really put it out there in regards to them and not about us trying to sell them. Like we don't sell products. We're not there saying, oh, go buy this or do this. We're there about figuring out what they need, and then we're going to come to them with our recommendations and our solutions. So we're kind of looking at it from the perspective that we're selling our overall, you know, how do I want to say it? We're selling ourselves, as being
Yeah,
there
the relationship.
as
Yeah,
their
yeah,
guide to go through life, basically.
yeah. I love that. So let me swing it back to Travis really quick because you mentioned uh, certain situations that come up. But what are some of the certain situations that come up with your clients that you enjoy working on specifically? Like, what do you enjoy working on the most?
Yeah, no, great question. I think everyone, for me, retirement, that can always be like a interesting time period in someone's life to work through. Um, I don't like, that's, I would say, not my favorites.
Why not?
Oftentimes, well, because, like kind of everyone goes through it. So in some ways it looks very similar. Um,
Mm,
I think some of the most challenging or rewarding client interactions, from the standpoint of me being an advisor and working through someone, is oftentimes those um, unforeseen events. They oftentimes are negative in nature and carry a lot of emotions. So whether that's something as drastic as like a unforeseen death, or some type of other maybe similar event. I think in those types of situations, because of, I think, the approach that we take with our clients, where it is a very deep and true meaningful relationship, we're able to kind of not only work through those financial kind of aspects, but also connect as it relates to those emotional aspects,
Yeah.
because oftentimes those are very intertwined, that you don't necessarily see with like retirement's like, oh yeah, cool, like,
Yeah.
there's some emotion attached to it, but it's different.
Yeah.
um
So retirement's kind of like a track you move on, but there are these
yep.
moments along that path,
Mhm.
and handling those within the broader context of that path to align your client
Yeah,
with
I
that
would
is
I would kind
stuff
of
you
call them
like.
those like critical financial and life events, like the things that we know can happen. They don't happen per se to everyone, but when they do, having someone that understands you and your situation and has the experience to kind of help you navigate through that, from start to finish, I think leads to better outcomes, better emotions, just kind of guiding someone through, in some instances, like the most difficult thing they're ever going to go through. Um,
I was just going to add that, some of our, one of the things that we also um, encourage when we're working with our clients, you have individual clients, but then with our couples, it's very important to us to have those meetings, at least one of those meetings once a year with both people. Because sometimes what happens in relationships is that you have one main person that deals with all the financial stuff, and the other person, may or may not be interested in, understanding the financial stuff, but might just not be as comfortable. So they don't want to go to the meetings. And what's important to us is that both people attend, because we want that other person to be comfortable with who we are and understand that we're there to help them.
Yeah.
So one of our clients, and there's several different that are similar, are that, I worked with the husband. He was the one that I had worked with for several years. They kind of had things in different places, but it was always kind of, we were compartmentalized.
Yeah.
And I
So
worked
probably
within
bringing
my,
both spouses
right.
together helps have
I had
conversations that they might
never
not have had before.
Right.
Yeah.
I had never met
exactly.
the wife. I had never met the wife. He told me she just didn't deal with it. She dealt with certain things within the household, but that all the finances was stuff that he did. And they were older. And I explained to him, I said, I can understand that. And they happened to be friends with the other advisor. But anyway, I encouraged him. I said, well, what I would like is for you to bring her to our next meeting so that she can meet me, so that if something unexpected happens, and I usually use the term, if you were to get hit by a bus, I want her to be comfortable that she can call and understand that we're here to help her. Well, he did bring her in. And initially I was like thinking, yeah, I'm going to meet her and that's going to be fine. But she saw how genuine we were and we are. And she actually encouraged him to consolidate their stuff with me so that she didn't have to be going all over town to deal with all their issues at some point in the future. And he has since passed away. And fortunately, we had brought everything in. I met with the family shortly after her husband passed away. And, that relationship was cemented because of how comfortable she felt with us. And she's told us on several occasions, had she not had that connection with us, she would have been overwhelmed. But she felt very comfortable in that she knew that we were there to help her with whatever came along, and her children feel the same way as well. So that's just one example of an older couple, and the importance for us to have clients feel comfortable that they can
Yeah.
come to us with any kind of situation, and we're going to listen. We're going to try to help point them in the right direction if it's not something that we can directly help them with.
Man, I tell you, that resonates with me. When my old man died a couple years ago, my mom, they didn't have any professional helping them, and my mom had to navigate that through
Hmm.
all by herself. So
Yep.
having somebody that could be a solid rock for you to help you work through that would have been really nice. It's really nice.
I mean,
So
it's
okay, so
overwhelming,
this
and that's the last thing you want to do when you're having to navigate, just dealing with this huge loss and not knowing where's our money going to come from, or, for this person, it was like the husband was the one that paid most of the bills. She dealt with, certain things, but it was just the whole thing was overwhelming. And we just help guide her all along the way. So, and we do that for everybody. Travis works a lot with younger clients who are fresh out of college and, dealing with some of those things, or that, first time, you've got somebody that's leaving a job and they've got
so
a
this would be like
a
maybe
generational,
the
more of a
the
generation.
okay, yeah, all right, that's great, man. I could see how that would be so valuable to have the two of you on working with the same family but with different generations. I could see that. Okay, so we've talked about some people who come to you, maybe they're married, they haven't been aligned on finances, retirement's coming, and they get the benefit of doing that. But Travis, tell me about maybe another kind of person or another type of situation that people typically will come to you with that makes them reach out.
Yeah, I mean, retirement is obviously, I would say, one of the most common. It's usually, I would say when that person probably is, in their early 50s. They're well established in their career, kids are out of the house if they have kids, etc. And they start actually like thinking a little bit down the road, and then their questions start arising. And they start for a lot of people, they're like, hey, like, how do I find a professional to help me sort through these things? I would say that's a very common one. Other ones kind of that we spoke on a little earlier in a different way. Unexpected events. So inheritance, death in the family,
Job loss.
job loss, can be common ones. Or like like, hey, I have this awesome opportunity with a career change, with all of this, um, new potential that wasn't there before, and it's complicated, and there's a lot of things that I don't understand. We've had those over the years with people that are not in their 50s. We're talking people in their early 30s, that are very busy, in that high paced career, navigating a lot of those things. So I'd say it spans a wide range, and that's, I think, kind of, I don't want to say unique to our practice, but I'd say just because we don't just focus truly on like, hey, I only work with someone who's 62 years old and is going to retire in 2 years. Um, I like to say we're fortunate that we've built a business where we're able to work with, those younger individuals. It's something that's important to me because, I'm part of that generation. So it's like, well, like, I'm doing things for myself. If I'm able to, provide benefit to, other individuals that are looking for those
Yeah.
services, then it's like, okay, cool.
Sounds
Um,
like legacy is something that's important to you and your
Definitely.
for
clients.
sure.
So tell me about maybe a client that, I don't want to say a potential client that you turned away, but tell me somebody who might not be the best fit for to work with you guys.
Yeah, I would say, well, so we do, we've implemented this for, gosh, probably the last 7, 8 years. We have, in essence, what we kind of call a fit process, where, we're not trying to work with every single individual, in the world. We want there to be an alignment, kind of a mutual fit, because our relationships, last a very long time, in a lot of instances.
Generational, yeah.
Exactly. Um, so, we want to make sure there is that mutual alignment. And sometimes, oftentimes there is, where we will enter into that, arrangement relationship. But oftentimes there's not, whether it's, they don't think we're a fit for them, or we don't think we're a fit for what they're looking for. Um, I wouldn't say there's like a particular like client avatar of who's not a fit. I think the one overlapping thing, that I've seen over the years is, um, and some of it's just, the type of clients that we like to work with, is there needs to be a willingness to listen and take, someone's advice.
A
And
mutual
for
trust.
some types of people, um, that's very hard for them to do. And oftentimes those are the relationships that, are not a fit for us, where it's like, well, if we're going to spend all this time together and try and work through these things, but someone's doing the complete opposite of what we're recommending or what have you, and it's like, well, like, why are we in this relationship?
Why are we?
um
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
Anything you want to add to that, Liana?
I would just say that, one thing I would say about my practice, and it doesn't happen as much nowadays, and maybe because um, our process weeds them out. But I remember when I was a younger advisor, I would have somebody come in and, you could tell they were just a day trade. They were like looking at their thing multiple times a day and looking at what the price of something was and wanting to make a change or do something. That's not our practice. Our practice is built around, more of a longer term approach. Not
Mm.
that there aren't things that we change in portfolios and things like that, but it's like we want somebody to understand the overall process and not get emotional about what's going on today in the market. That's part of our thing, is to help clients get get through the emotional part of investing, because it is very emotional for individuals, especially, whether they're very knowledgeable or not knowledgeable, it can still be very emotional. And so, like Travis was saying, we want somebody to, work with us, that's going to sit there, have conversations with us that
Mm.
are real conversations, not just saying something because they think that's what we want to hear. We want to truly understand, how do they feel, about the market, and when they see the market go up or down, and how impactful is that to them. And we want to help guide them through that, and help them understand that. So there have been a few clients over the years that, initially got through a screening process, and I felt, that, they were investors, but it turned out after about, 9 to 12 months, I realized that, they didn't have, one of them, it was a couple,
no
one of,
longer a fit.
yeah, did not have the emotional ability to not look at things every day.
Mm.
And regardless of what we would say, would just do something the opposite. And finally, we just said, hey, this just is not working. You are not an investor. You are, you need to kind of be over here, because that's not a right fit.
Well, at
And
least through that process, you were able to guide him through. But do you guys think that your focus on a long term relationship, really getting to know people and working with them
yes,
over a longer
yeah.
period of time, gives you the ability to have a better intuition for how to make recommendations to that individual and how to phrase things or say things in a way that helps him feel more
Oh, for
Exactly.
sure. I mean, yeah, I mean, you learn, well, not quickly, but like, on average, I mean, our relationships last probably, if you looked at the entire client base, I mean, it's probably 15, 20 years. It's probably even longer than that. I haven't actually done the
Some
math.
of my clients have been
Um,
longer.
so I mean, you learn, like, hey, Bob really loves diving deep and, give him the bullet points, and that's how he makes, a decision.
So keep it
Or,
high level, avoid the details.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
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 You have all different kinds of
Um,
people, and you
Somebody
want
might
to
want more
understand,
details. Yeah.
and you
exactly. I
like
think
try.
overall, at a broad level, I think the types of clients that work with a professional advisor, at least someone who's, not, we focus very heavily on kind of that life planning is, um, you know, they want that high level, um, kind of overview of like, well, hey, like, why should we be doing this? We don't have a lot of clients that, really need to like dive under the hood and wants to understand like every single element of how we formed that recommendation. If they do, we can walk them through it.
Mhm.
So it's more just like establishing that trust and then having consistent communications with our clients so that we understand what's going on in their lives. They understand kind of what's going on, in the markets or like just, all of the stuff that happens throughout a year. Um, and then that can uncover, situations where we have a conversation. We, like look under the hood, present our findings, and then, it's always the client's decision of what they want to do. But we'll always, point them in what we feel is in their best interest. Um,
Absolutely.
and oftentimes it can be a very just simple conversation with some clients. And then for other clients, it's, multiple meetings. Let's dive under the hood. Let's,
Sure.
peel back the layers of the onion.
Depends on
And
what they need.
I have no preference one way or another.
Yeah.
I enjoy both of those conversations.
So that's the benefit of
So it's,
getting to know them. Okay, Leon, I got a question for you. Put your humble hat on. It's hard to do this, all right? But put your humble hat on. What's something you do for clients that takes a significant amount of time, but that they'll never know? Time, energy, effort, thought. Brag
So,
about yourself for a little bit here.
well, I guess for me, I am one of those kind of people that I have to know. I'm a sponge. Like, I want to know information and understand information. So when clients tell me different situations, whether it's a health related or different things, that night I'm probably going home and I'm looking to see what that particular illness or whatever's going on in their life, I'm going to freshen up on what that means and what they potentially are going to be going through. Because I want to understand, what's going on in my clients' lives. If they're going in for, a bypass surgery or a knee replacement or a hip replacement, I want to understand those things. So I am a like sponge from that perspective. And so when I'm talking with my clients after, um, I have knowledge about what they're going through and can
More
talk about,
context.
how important
More
therapy is
understanding.
after you have a hip replacement. And that's one of the main things, you got to power through it and all of that. And I don't, a lot of my clients, they will, I remember one of my first stories, and I think it kind of started from this one particular client of why I started feeling like I had to understand what they were going through. I was a brand new advisor, um, and I was meeting with one of my partner's older clients who had had prostate surgery. And I'm probably 30 years old, and I'm sitting across from this gentleman, and he's explaining the whole surgery to me. And I'm sitting there like, oh my God, I had no idea. My partner, who was older, and they were somewhat friends or they knew each other, acquaintances, walks in my office, starts hearing him telling me what he was going
Turns
through.
right back around.
He literally walked out of my office. So
Ooh,
I
I'll let you handle that one.
kind of,
Whoa.
right. So I was like, I didn't want to be shocked. And I, one of those people, I can compose myself and, you know, my client probably never knew that I was a little bit uncomfortable with that conversation. But from that, I always, wanted to know, what was going on in their life. And so that they could feel comfortable telling us anything. And our clients will tell us pretty
I
much
think that's a
whatever's
great
going
example.
on,
Yeah.
or calling a client and the client feeling comfortable and the wife's like, well, he's in the shower right now, just a moment. And I'm like, no, 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 no. No, they just don't. And, we develop this as an extension of, however they may want to describe us, we are an extension of. And I think that's, extremely, important to me. And I know it's important to Travis as he works with our clients. And it's just something that over the years working with different advisors, they don't take, at least the ones that I've worked with, some have, taken the approach, but going that extra distance. I mean, there's a lot of clients that we meet with in person at their homes, not because they can't drive into our office, just because, we want to make it convenient for them, or, once in a while we want to see them in their own environment. Um, so that's what I enjoy about clients. And those are some of the things that, that I do that they probably don't know. I stay up till, midnight or something, researching something that they may have mentioned to me, or, they're having an issue with some plants in their yard. And, it's like, I can pretty much talk about anything. I mean, I can talk about equipment with my business owners. I can, pretty much talk about anything, because
I think that's what
I
you'd
just
want
want to get that
when you
knowledge.
have an
Yep,
advisor. You want to feel comfortable.
exactly. I want to be able to talk about things that are important to them, and kind of understand it. So
I love
that's
it. Travis, for someone listening who is interested in learning more about you and possibly working with you, what should they do next?
I
How can
think
they learn more about you?
yeah, I think easiest way to learn more about us is go to our website, birchfinancialgroup.com. Spent a lot of time putting a lot of effort into it. Um, so people can get a better understanding of who we are, who we work with, what our process is. Or, pick up the phone, call us, send us an email, walk into our office. I mean, um, we're not particular. We'll have a conversation with anyone. We
site
don't.
has a link. The website has a link so that they can, reach out to us that way, and that link will come in, and ask them a few questions, and then we'll reach
We'll
out.
also put links in the show notes below the episode for anybody who's watching who wants to get in touch. All right, Leanna and Travis, thank you so much for taking the time. Really
You're
enjoyed
welcome,
it.
Greg. You
Thank you,
have a
Greg.
good afternoon. Take care.
You as well.
Thank you.